This video is part of my knitCompanion series, and in this one we're going to talk about the new Android update. It's very exciting. I'm primarily an Android user, so I'm really excited about this. If you would like to give knitCompanion a try, the basic version is free. You can go to the Google Play Store and look for knitCompanion, one word, and the features that we use all the time are in the free version. Give it a try, no risk. It is a game changer for interacting with your patterns and keeping track of where you are in a pattern. I don't print out patterns anymore. I never thought I would say that. I'm using everything on my tablet now. Now I want to talk about the Android update because it is not as, we don't have all of the features that they have in the iOS version, but it's only in the different, let me explain this. Okay, in the iOS version, there are 3 tiers. There's a basic, setup, and essentials. And the basic version is free. Setup is $9.99 a year, and essentials is $19.99 a year. And those are US prices. If you live in a country where they add an extra tax, your price might be more. So with the Android update, we have the basic, the free version, and the setup. We don't have a 3rd tier version. You're not paying for anything that you're not getting. We just don't have the really deep dive features that we've covered in some of the recent videos. But everything that you're going to use all the time is there. This update is great. I think people who have been using the Android version, I don't know if you can hear that thunder coming through. It looks like I'm shooting at night. It's actually 10 in the morning. It's just stormy out there, and so it's dark. And the thunder nearby, lightning. Okay, so where was I? If you have used the Android version in the past, it looked very different from the Apple version. And now you'll see that it looks the same. It looks, maybe some differences, looks very similar. And this might be of interest to you, it was to me. One of the reasons that the Android version has not been as robust as the Apple version is because Android hasn't been as easy to use as a platform. And you would think that that's counterintuitive because Android is an open platform. It should be just like developer gold to put anything in there. But Android doesn't, among other things, doesn't have a native PDF engine. And so the folks at knitCompanion actually had to build that in to get the Android version up to speed with Apple. So, okay, I covered the different tiers. I covered the Android update. We're going to go through the basics in this video. We're going to go through some of the basic things that you'll find in the knitCompanion app. Did I already say how to get the app? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I think that covers it for the intro. I'm excited to show you this update. Let's take a look. Okay, here we are, the knitCompanion app ready to open. And I'm here in what is kind of the main screen. You'll see there's local, Ravelry, and Dropbox here at the top of the page. And local is what we have in the app already. Ravelry and Dropbox are how we can get PDFs into the software. And what I'm going to show you first is how to use your Ravelry library to get PDFs into the software. So I'm going to tap Ravelry. And if you haven't signed into Ravelry using knitCompanion, it will ask you for your password and everything. And once you've done that, you can go in and out without signing in each time, as you saw me do here. So I tapped in this search box here under title to get the keyboard to come up. And I'm going to look for a pattern that I know is in there because I designed it. And it's this one, Cabled Fingerless Mitts. I tapped it and I see down here, PDF to successfully downloaded. So I just got that pattern from my Ravelry library into the knitCompanion app. If I go back to local, you see over here we have projects and PDFs. Projects are knitting projects that we've actually started, and PDFs are just files that are now in the software. And I'm on the PDFs is highlighted there in blue, so I'm in PDFs. I see the pattern that I just added. If I tap it, it opens. And I can see all the pages of the pattern here across the top. I can start this as a project now by tapping Start Project, and it lets me give it a name. I'm going to call it Mitts for Mom and tap Create. Now it is a project. And the first thing you see, the biggest difference you see when you have something you know it's a project, is you see these sliding markers appear. And we also see the buttons knit and edit up here at the top. So what we see in here are the things that we're going to be using the most. The sliding markers, and you see this highlight bar go up and down. Pages, we can flip through the pages by tapping up here. And the counters over here, we're going to talk more about the counters, but you just tap them once to advance the counter. And we'll go into that in just a minute. So we've got this project started, and let's go to page 2 where we're actually going to start knitting. You can, of course, zoom in because you're on a tablet and slide this bar to be, whoops, what am I doing? You can slide this bar to highlight the row that you're on. I'm trying to get to this one, the cable written instructions. There we go. So it's very cool. These, you can highlight the row that you're on and move this as you move through the rows, you know, advancing your counter. This blue bar, I find it most useful when I'm working on a pattern that's written in columns. I always have it to the right of whatever column I'm on, so my eye is automatically drawn to the part of the pattern that I want to be reading. So those are the sliding markers. We're going to customize the markers here in just a minute. And these are the counters. You can, like I said, advance the counter by tapping on it. There are 6 counters here. There aren't very many patterns that you're going to need all 6 counters, but they're there for you. I'll tell you how I use them. The top counter is my row counter, and I keep track of rows that way. And if I'm working a repeat where the pattern says, you know, repeat these 6 rows 10 times, I will keep track of the number of repeats with the second counter. And it's easy to keep track of that way. I can see where I am just at a glance. Now, if you need to go back a row or reset the counter, you just long tap it and you get this little menu. You can frog back 1 row to bring it down by 1 or reset the counter entirely. And if you tap the screen, that disappears and you can go back to counting the way you were. Okay, we talked about the pages and the counters. Something that's unique to knitCompanion and very cool, and I didn't even think it was very cool because I can't imagine it not being this way, is that was a dog coming in from the rain, shaking off. Oh, working from home, right? As you flip through the pages, you know, you might be working here on page 2, and then you have to jump over to page 1 to see something that you might have missed. When you go back to page 2, the way you left it is the way you will find it. Your markers are the same, your counter is the same throughout the whole pattern, but the highlight, nothing changes. It doesn't reset itself when you jump away from the page, which is very cool. I didn't even know how important that was, but of course that's important. You'd never want to flip a page if everything was reset once you jumped away. Okay, we talked about the pages, and now it's time to look at this up here. We have this button and this button. This first one that's highlighted is what brings the pages up and down. You can see the pages are there. If I tap it, the pages disappear and I have more screen. Tap it again to bring the pages back. And then the one right next to it brings up stuff at the bottom. And I say stuff at the bottom because there are a few things down here. The first one we're going to talk about is project notes. Excuse me. If you tap that, the keyboard comes up. And you can type a note that you'll be able to see in the whole pattern right here. So I'm going to say, slip the first stitch. So I've given myself a note, and that's there for me. That's maybe not that important of a note to have in there, but it's something that I need to remember. So it's there as I'm reading this pattern. Remember, I've got my highlighted row there. That's where I am in the pattern. I have this pattern note down there to see as I work through so I don't forget. So that's pattern notes, but there's more in here. If you tap the notes button again, you get your project timer. And this is a timer that's keeping track of how long you have this pattern open in the app. This is going to be fun because I haven't used this in knitCompanion, but people are always asking me, how long did that take you to knit? And I never have a really good answer. I'm going to have a really good answer now if I remember to look here. So it isn't for the whole app. This is just for how long you've had this project open. And here you'll see a ruler, and very handy little ruler if you need it. There's the inches. You can tap metric to get that. You can also tap top to get the ruler on the top of the screen. Go back to Imperial, click done. That's there in the Notes tab here. Handy thing to have for sure. And if we want this window at the bottom to disappear, remember we can just tap this up here and make that happen and bring it back. Okay, let's get into some of the features, the deeper features of this. We just went through the very basics. Now we're going to get into customizing things a little bit. Quick key. Now, a quick key is a way of putting part of the pattern down here in this bottom section so that you have a page that is showing everything you need to knit without fussing around and changing pages or scrolling or anything. So we're going to make up a scenario here where I need to see these abbreviations and my written instructions at the same time, right? And I'm going back and forth and back and forth. I'm going to add a quick key so those abbreviations appear down here in the bottom half of my screen, and I can have them both on the page at the same time, no problem. So this button here, this key button is the quick key. If you long tap and hold, first get yourself on the page that you want to be in the quick key, and mine happens to be on page 2. Long tap and hold, and boom, it just took page 2 and put it down here. Now I'm going to make this a bit easier for me to read. I'm going to make it bigger and get this just right, and a little bit smaller than that. Now I have all of the abbreviations in the quick key and my written instructions that I need. Everything's right there on the page. I'm not flipping around anymore. And my notes are still there. And the key, the quick key, I guess, is available regardless of what page you're on. Okay, you hear that thunder? Let me see. Oh yes, let's customize the markers. People really like this feature. We have these sliding markers here that I've shown you, the yellow bar and the vertical blue bar. We can customize those to make it as easy to see as it, for however it is easiest for us to see what row we're on. You'll see what I'm talking about here. We're going to, go to this edit button up here. And over here we get a new menu full of all kinds of things. We're going to tap the sliding markers bar or button, and you get an option for row slider and stitch slider. And the row slider is the horizontal one, the stitch slider is the vertical one. You can change the color, and I'm going to tap and make it gray, and you'll see why I'm making it gray in just a minute. And you can use this slider bar to make that narrower or wider. I'm going to leave it where it was. I think the feature that people like the most about this is the invert button. When you tap invert, the color that you selected for your highlight bar now becomes the whole page, and your highlight bar is the only one in white, or whatever the background color is on the page. I think that's really easy to see. I think a lot of people agree with me on that. You can also change the color of the blue bar, and again, change the thickness. And when you're done, when you have it exactly the way you want it, you go back to knit, and everything is just the way you left it. As far as your counters, your highlight, your key, and everything. You can go in and out of setting up features without messing anything up. Okay, let's talk about knit-alongs, especially mystery knit-alongs, because when you are working a mystery knit-along, you don't get your whole pattern at once. It's a mystery, right? You're getting little bits of the pattern all the time, maybe once a week, and that will come to you in a new PDF. And you could just keep adding the new PDFs to your your knitCompanion your knitCompanion projects, or you can keep combining it into one pattern. You can add more PDFs to that pattern. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to add 2 PDFs together, and I don't really have a mystery knit along to do this for, so I'm just going to use two PDFs and pretend it's a mystery knit along. Adding them together so that when you are getting new pages every week, you can do this with your mystery knit along. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Ravelry, because in my mystery knit along, they've been sending me the pages as PDFs to me in Ravelry, and I've added them to my Ravelry library, and I'll look for it. And this is a Branta hat. It's a great hat pattern. Not really a mystery knit along. We're going to pretend it is. If I tap it in my Ravelry library, that puts it into the software just like we did before. Go back to local, and it is now in my local, look over here, PDFs. It is not a project yet because I haven't started it as a project, but it is in my PDFs. I'm going to go back to my projects and open this mittens, or this mitts pattern that I've been working on. Now I'm going to pretend this is my pattern. I just got more pages of my mystery knit along. We're using that Branta hat pattern for the example for that. I want to add the Branta hat pattern to this, right? Okay, I want to add more pages of the pattern, right? So I'm going to go to edit, and you see here, there's PDF, the PDF symbol and plus. When I tap that, it takes me to my PDF files that are in the software, and it lets me pick which one I want to add to this pattern. That's the one I want to add. You top append PDF pages. Oh, I had the option there of selecting all the pages or some of the pages. I'm sorry I didn't cover that, but that you can see the menu on the right lets you select all the pages or some of the pages. I put all the pages in. So now this pattern was a 5-page pattern, but now it is an 8-page pattern because the hat is added as well. And I suppose if you get enough pages of a mystery knit along, you'll get a lot of pages across the top there. Okay, something else that I just showed you, but you might not have noticed, you can close out of your pattern and start working on another pattern. Like here I am in this pattern that I'm working. Everything is right where I left it off. It's all zoomed in right where I left it. The highlighter bar is right where I left it. Then when I go back to my project that I've been working on, the Mitts for Mom project, when I open that up, everything's exactly the way I left it. My highlighter, my counter, my key, nothing resets when you close it. So if you have multiple projects going, you can have them all. There's no mystery as to where you are in the pattern because nothing reset. Another thing that I've done is we use the keys down here. I will sometimes make a note to myself about the situation of where I left off. You know, maybe I want to say I don't know, work it to 4 inches because, I talked with my sister and mom wants long mittens or whatever. I might put those notes down here. So when I jump back in, I don't have to try to remember anything about the pattern. It's all right there. And that is it. I hope you enjoy the new update. We will have more knitCompanion videos, including Android videos, coming soon. Good luck.